Have you ever felt that sudden, sharp pull in your calf that wakes you out of a peaceful sleep? The kind of cramp that locks your legs so tightly you can't even straighten your toes, and for a moment you wonder if something is seriously wrong. Many seniors tell me this is one of the most frightening sensations they experience at night, because it feels like the body is turning against them without warning. A patient once told me she had tried everything. She was drinking more water. She was eating bananas every day. She even added a magnesium supplement her neighbor recommended. Yet her leg cramps kept returning for 6 long months, always striking when she was resting. She felt confused, frustrated, and honestly a little scared, because nothing made sense anymore. I want you to imagine this. Deep inside your muscles, where nerves and fibers work together to help you walk, stand, and move through life, a tiny electrical imbalance begins to build. It is quiet. It is invisible. But when those electrolytes shift out of balance, even slightly, the muscle can snap into a painful spasm, as if someone flipped a switch you didn't know existed. Most people think leg cramps happen because of dehydration or aging, but there is a deeper truth that often goes unmentioned. Electrolytes like magnesium, potassium, calcium, and sodium act as the body's electrical system. They tell your muscles when to contract and when to relax. When they fall out of balance, the muscle doesn't respond smoothly. It tightens suddenly, powerfully, and painfully. So why do so many doctors overlook this? Because the signs can be subtle. They can look like simple fatigue, mild dehydration, or normal aging. But for seniors, these small shifts create big consequences, especially at night. In this video, I will help you understand what is truly happening inside your muscles, why leg cramps are so common after 60, which daily habits quietly drain your electrolytes, and how simple, gentle steps can bring real relief. Before we continue, if this message is already helping you feel seen and understood, please subscribe, like, and share Senior Health Daily. Your support helps us reach more seniors who need clarity and comfort. You are not alone, and there is a clear reason for what you're feeling. Why electrolytes matter. More after 60. When you reach your 60s and beyond, the body begins to whisper in ways it never did before. The muscles you once trusted without a second thought become more sensitive to tiny shifts happening deep inside. One of the biggest changes is how your body manages electrolytes, those small but powerful minerals that control your muscles' ability to contract and relax. With age, the kidneys slow down slightly. They don't hold on to minerals as efficiently as they once did, which means magnesium, potassium, sodium, and calcium slip through the system more easily. Seniors often tell me they drink plenty of water, yet still feel cramps, stiffness, or sudden spasms. What they don't see is that water alone isn't enough when the minerals aren't staying where they belong. Another quiet change happens in the digestive system. The ability to absorb magnesium from food declines little by little over time. You may be eating the same vegetables or nuts you always have, but your body simply doesn't pull in the same amount of nourishment it once did. That slow loss adds up, especially when magnesium is the mineral that helps keep nerves calm and muscles relaxed. Muscle mass also decreases naturally as we age. Muscles are the body's largest storage space for electrolytes, so when muscle mass shrinks, the body loses one of its main reserve tanks. This is one of the reasons why a leg cramp at 65 can feel sharper and more sudden than the ones you might have had in your 30s. Inside every muscle, electrolytes act like traffic signals. Calcium tells the muscle to contract. Potassium tells it to release. Magnesium keeps the nerve steady so the process runs smoothly. Sodium carries the messages from one cell to another. When one of these signals weakens or slips out of rhythm, the muscle doesn't glide the way it should. It clamps down as if someone pulled a rope tight around it, creating that intense, breath-stealing pain so many seniors describe. These changes aren't signs of decline. They are simply part of how the body evolves with time. And when we understand them, we gain control. The fear goes down, the clarity goes up, and the solutions become surprisingly gentle and within reach. What an electrolyte imbalance does inside the muscle. When an electrolyte imbalance develops, most seniors don't feel it immediately. There's no sudden alarm, no jolt of pain at the beginning. It begins quietly, deep inside the muscle fibers, where the real communication system of the body lives. What feels like a simple cramp is actually the final moment of a long chain of tiny misfires and missing signals. Potassium is one of the first minerals that reveals its absence. This mineral helps muscles release after they contract. When the body doesn't have enough potassium, the muscle can tighten normally but struggles to let go. That's why so many seniors describe a cramp as if the muscle is locked, refusing to relax even when they try to stretch or massage it. Magnesium plays an equally important role. It works like a calming presence inside the muscle, keeping nerves from overreacting. When magnesium runs low, nerves fire more easily and more unpredictably. A tiny shift in position, a small drop in hydration, or even a change in nighttime temperature can cause a nerve to send a sudden signal that tightens the entire muscle. Seniors often tell me they feel a quick, sharp electric jolt right before the cramp hits. That sensation is the nervous system misfiring because magnesium is too low. Calcium, on the other hand, is the mineral that tells muscles to contract. Too much calcium relative to magnesium creates a muscle that is always on the edge of tightening. And sodium acts as the messenger that carries electrical signals throughout the muscle fibers. When sodium is imbalanced, the communication inside the muscle becomes choppy, almost like a radio losing its signal. Inside the muscle, these minerals are constantly working together, switching on and switching off, tightening and releasing. But when just one of them falls out of balance, the harmony is disrupted. The muscle begins to behave unpredictably, tightening when it shouldn't, pulsing when it should be resting, or locking into a painful contraction at the worst possible moment, often during sleep. The pain of a cramp is intense because the muscle is stuck in a contraction without the minerals it needs to relax. It's not about strength, age, or willpower. It's about chemistry. And once you understand the chemistry, everything starts to make sense. The real reasons seniors lose electrolytes. As we continue this journey, I want you to understand something deeply. Electrolyte loss doesn't usually come from one dramatic event. It comes from the quiet moments of daily life, the habits you barely notice, and the changes of aging that happen slowly and silently. Many seniors believe they are doing everything right. They drink water, they try to eat well, they stay active. Yet they still struggle with painful leg cramps because the body is losing minerals faster than it can replace them. One of the biggest reasons is timing. I can't tell you how often I sit with a patient who swears they drink plenty of water, only to discover that most of it is consumed late in the evening. Hydration doesn't work that way. When the body goes hours in the morning and early afternoon without enough fluid, minerals shift out of balance long before bedtime. By the time water is finally consumed, the imbalance has already begun. Medications also play a major role, often without seniors realizing it. Diuretics, which are commonly prescribed for blood pressure, gently wash minerals like potassium and magnesium out of the system. The same is true for certain blood pressure medications and diabetes treatments. They aren't harmful when used correctly. They're simply doing their job. But the effects on electrolytes can be profound for someone over 60. Then there are the ordinary moments of daily life. A warm afternoon in the garden, a brisk walk around the neighborhood, folding laundry or doing chores around the house. These activities may not feel intense, but they still cause the body to lose small amounts of electrolytes through sweat. If those minerals aren't replaced, the deficit builds quietly through the day. Even eating patterns create hidden problems. A salty dinner pulls water out of the muscles overnight. A sugary dessert affects insulin levels, which can influence mineral balance. And stress, even the kind seniors carry quietly, uses up magnesium much faster than most people realize. By nighttime, all these small drains add up. The body isn't broken. It's simply overwhelmed by a series of subtle losses that finally show up as a painful cramp. This is why understanding these patterns is so important. Once you see where the minerals are going, you can begin to take back control over your muscles again. Why nighttime leg cramps are worse. If you've ever wondered why cramps seem to wait for the quiet hours of the night before striking, you're not imagining it. There is something unique about what happens inside the body while you sleep, and once you understand it, the mystery of nighttime cramping begins to make sense. During the night, circulation naturally slows. Your heart isn't pushing blood with the same strength it does during the day, and your legs receive less oxygen and fewer minerals with each passing hour. For a younger body, this shift goes unnoticed. But for someone over 60, whose circulation may already be slightly reduced, this drop becomes a tipping point. Muscles that went all day struggling to maintain balance finally reach their limit. Temperature also plays a quiet but important role. Muscles cool down as you sleep, and cooler muscles tighten more easily. A calf that felt perfectly normal during the day can become stiff and vulnerable in the early morning hours. When minerals are low and muscles are chilled, the smallest misfire of a nerve can send the entire muscle into a painful spasm. Movement is another key factor. Think about your legs during the day. You stand up, walk, shift positions, stretch without even noticing it. These small actions keep blood flowing and muscles relaxed. But at night, you remain still for long periods. Muscles settle into the same position for hours, tightening gradually. When you finally twitch, stretch, or shift even slightly, the muscle may snap into a cramp. Breathing adds a final layer. With every breath you take while sleeping, your body loses water vapor. This is normal, but for seniors who begin the night already slightly dehydrated, it can be enough to push electrolyte levels even lower. By the time 2 or 3 in the morning arrives, minerals are at their lowest point, circulation is slowest, and muscles are coldest. That is the perfect storm. I remember a woman in her 70s who told me she could almost predict the hour her cramps would strike. It was always around 3 in the morning. Once we improved her hydration earlier in the day and added gentle stretching before bed, those predictable cramps slowly faded away. Nighttime cramps aren't random. They follow the laws of physiology, and once you understand those laws, the path to relief becomes clearer than ever. Signs your leg cramps are electrolyte-related. One of the most important steps in finding real relief is learning to recognize when your cramps are actually rooted in an electrolyte imbalance. Many seniors assume their cramps come from age, from overuse, or from dehydration alone. But the body has a very distinct way of speaking when minerals are out of balance. Once you start noticing the patterns, everything begins to make sense. A classic sign is the duration of the cramp. Electrolyte-related cramps often last longer than 30 seconds and sometimes stretch into a full minute or more. They don't release easily, even when you try to massage the area or change your position. It feels as though the muscle has locked itself into place, refusing to let go. Several of my patients have described it as a sensation that feels almost electric, like a wire suddenly tightened inside the leg. Another strong indicator is predictability. If your cramps tend to strike around the same hour night after night, that's often a sign of mineral depletion accumulating throughout the day. Your body begins the night at a disadvantage, and by the early morning hours, magnesium or potassium levels may be too low to keep the nerves calm. When this pattern repeats itself, it is rarely random. There's also the sudden inability to stretch the foot or leg when the cramp hits. Electrolyte-related cramps often make the muscle so tight that you can't fully flex or extend your foot for several seconds. The muscle seems to resist your efforts as if it has taken control away from you. This inability to unlock the muscle is one of the strongest clues that electrolytes are involved. Many seniors also notice that drinking a small amount of water with electrolytes or taking a magnesium-rich snack brings fast relief. This quick improvement is another powerful sign. Your body responds because it was missing something, not because your age was holding you back. I remember one gentleman who came to me confused and frustrated. His cramps always came at 4 in the morning, and nothing seemed to help. When we discovered his afternoon coffee habit and low magnesium intake, everything clicked. Within 2 weeks of shifting his routine, the early morning cramps he thought were just getting old began to disappear. Your muscles are not trying to torture you. They are trying to tell you something. And once you recognize the signs, you can respond with clarity instead of fear. Daily habits that quietly drain electrolytes. When most seniors think about electrolyte loss, they imagine sweating heavily during exercise or walking under the hot sun, but the truth is far more subtle. The habits that drain electrolytes the fastest often slip into daily life without anyone noticing. They aren't dramatic. They aren't obvious. Yet they create the perfect storm for nightly leg cramps. One of the most common patterns I see is uneven hydration. Many seniors drink almost nothing in the morning, either because they don't feel thirsty or because they want to avoid extra bathroom trips. Then, later in the day, they try to catch up by drinking large amounts of water at once. That sudden rush of fluid doesn't replenish electrolytes. In fact, it can wash them out, leaving the muscles even more sensitive by bedtime. Caffeine is another quiet thief. A cup of coffee alone isn't the issue, but when it becomes 2, 3, or 4 cups spread throughout the day, it acts as a mild diuretic, slowly pulling water and minerals out of the body. I've met seniors who thought they were hydrated because they sipped coffee all day long. In reality, their magnesium and potassium levels were sliding downward without them realizing it. Evening meals can make things worse without any obvious warning. Many processed foods, takeout meals, and restaurant dinners contain far more sodium than the body needs. Sodium itself isn't the enemy, but a surge at night can pull fluid away from muscles and force the kidneys to shift into overdrive. By the middle of the night, the muscles are left drier and more reactive, setting the stage for painful cramps. Sugary snacks have a similar effect. A simple dessert before bed can spike insulin, which causes the kidneys to flush out magnesium. Many seniors wake up with a cramp hours later and never realize how closely it connects to the treat they had after dinner. A patient once told me she thought her cramps were caused by walking too much during the day, but the truth was the chocolate milkshake she drank every night. Stress plays a surprising role as well. When the body feels overwhelmed or unsettled, even by small daily worries, magnesium levels drop faster. The muscles become more irritable. Sleep becomes shallower. Everything becomes just a little tighter. Over time, that gentle tightening becomes the cramp that wakes you in the dark. And finally, I often see seniors skip mineral-rich foods without meaning to. A lack of leafy greens, nuts, seeds, fruits, or yogurt creates a slow mineral decline that builds quietly throughout the week. By Friday or Saturday night, the body has run out of what it needs to keep the nerves steady and the muscles relaxed. None of these habits seem dramatic on their own, but together, they create an environment where leg cramps thrive. The good news is that every one of them can be reversed with small, steady adjustments. Your muscles are remarkably forgiving when they get what they need. Foods that deeply restore AQ-based or electrolytes. When we talk about electrolytes, many people picture sports drinks filled with bright colors and added sugars, but the body doesn't need anything flashy or artificial. What it truly responds to, especially after 60, is real food. Gentle nourishment, minerals delivered in forms the muscles can recognize and use. That's why choosing the right foods can transform how your legs feel at night and how your body recovers throughout the day. I often tell my patients that food is quiet medicine. It works slowly, kindly, without demanding attention. Take potassium-rich foods, for example. A ripe banana, a soft baked sweet potato, or a juicy orange may seem simple, but the potassium inside each bite helps your muscles relax after they contract. Many seniors who started adding a banana in the afternoon, or half a sweet potato at dinner, told me their nighttime cramps became far less intense within a week. Magnesium works in a similar way, but it's even more soothing. Almonds, a handful of spinach, or a small cup of cocoa made with real cacao powder can help calm the nervous system and gently ease the tension inside your legs. Magnesium is often called the relaxation mineral because it tells overactive nerves to slow down. Some of my patients feel the difference within days, especially those who had been unknowingly running low for years. Calcium often gets overlooked, even though it plays a key role in the contraction and release cycle of muscles. Dairy foods like yogurt or milk, when tolerated well, help stabilize muscle activity and reduce the sudden firing that triggers painful spasms. I've seen seniors who struggled with nightly cramps find relief simply by adding a small serving of yogurt after lunch. Then there's hydration from whole foods. Coconut water, for instance, naturally contains several electrolytes that the body absorbs easily. Broths made with low sodium offer sodium in a balanced form that supports fluid retention without overwhelming the body. Even water-rich fruits like berries, oranges, or melons help replenish daily fluid loss in ways plain water alone sometimes can't. The beauty of these foods is that they don't just correct deficiencies, they nourish the entire system. They restore balance slowly and steadily, the way nature intended. Seniors often tell me that once they begin eating this way, their energy improves, their sleep deepens, and their legs feel stronger and more dependable. And the best part? You don't need large amounts. A little magnesium here, a bit of potassium there, a touch of calcium throughout the day. Small choices add up to big change. Your muscles respond to consistency, not perfection. With the right foods, they finally have the support they've been asking for. Medication interactions. Doctors rarely mention. One of the most surprising things I've learned in my decades of caring for older adults is how often medications quietly disturb the body's mineral balance without anyone realizing it. Even the most common prescriptions can shift electrolytes in small ways that add up over weeks, months, or years. And because the changes are subtle, seniors often blame themselves, thinking they didn't stretch enough, didn't drink enough, or simply got older. But the truth is far more gentle than that. Take diuretics. For example, these medications are incredibly effective for blood pressure and swelling, yet they also wash out potassium and magnesium with every trip to the bathroom. I've had patients who were shocked to learn that their nightly cramps didn't come from walking too much or eating too little, but from a medication they had trusted for years. Once we made small adjustments, like checking their levels or shifting the timing of the dose, their cramps softened and sometimes disappeared completely. Statins are another quiet contributor. They're wonderful at protecting the heart, but they can irritate muscle cells in ways that make cramps more likely, especially at night. I remember a gentleman in his 70s who told me his calves felt tightly wound like guitar strings every night. When we switched him to a different statin, that tightness slowly faded, and he finally slept without gripping his legs. Then there are blood pressure medications that affect how nerves communicate or how minerals circulate. Some increase sodium loss, others interfere with calcium or magnesium absorption. And still, others alter the way signals travel along the nerves that control muscle contractions. When those signals misfire, cramps can strike suddenly and intensely, especially during sleep. Diabetes medications can play a part too. By shifting blood sugar and kidney function, they can subtly drain electrolytes or alter hydration. Seniors often don't feel the loss happening. They only feel the cramp later, at 2 or 3 in the morning, when the imbalance reaches its peak. Steroids are another hidden trigger. They can burn through magnesium faster than the body can replace it. For many older adults, especially those taking steroids long-term for arthritis or lung conditions, cramps are a direct reflection of this invisible depletion. What makes all of this so important is that most people never think to connect their cramps to their medications. And many doctors don't mention the possibility because the side effect seems minor. But if you're the one waking up in pain every night, there's nothing minor about it. Understanding the link brings clarity, relief, and a path forward. The good news is that there are always options. Adjusting the timing of a dose, changing medications, adding supportive foods, or monitoring electrolytes can make a world of difference. Once seniors understand how medications interact with minerals, the mystery begins to lift. Their nights feel calmer, their legs feel lighter, and they finally feel back in control of their own healing. The step-by-step plan to fix electrolyte imbalance. When seniors finally understand that their leg cramps are rooted in an electrolyte imbalance, something remarkable happens. The fear eases, the frustration softens, and suddenly, there's a clear path forward. It doesn't require extreme diets or intense exercise. What it requires is gentle consistency, small changes, and a willingness to listen to the body in a new way. One of the first steps I always share is to begin the morning with hydration. Not a large glass chugged all at once, but a steady, comfortable drink of water that wakes up the kidneys and reminds the muscles that support is coming. Muscles store and rely on water to help distribute potassium and magnesium. Starting the day hydrated sets a foundation that lasts into the evening. Then comes the quiet work of rebuilding what the body has slowly lost. Magnesium-rich foods, almonds, leafy greens, oats, cacao, help refill the reservoirs that have been depleted for years. Many seniors are surprised at how naturally their body responds once magnesium returns. Potassium-rich foods add another layer of support. A simple banana, an orange, or a baked potato brings calm to the muscle fibers that have been firing too intensely. Throughout the day, hydration should feel balanced and effortless. Sipping water in small amounts instead of drinking large amounts at night prevents those painful 2 a.m. cramps that come from hidden dehydration. This is especially important for seniors who avoid drinking water in the afternoon because they fear nighttime bathroom trips. A steady rhythm earlier in the day gives the body what it needs without disrupting sleep later on. Dinner is another opportunity for calm. The goal is not to remove salt completely, but to avoid loading the body with more than it can handle. A balanced meal with vegetables, lean protein, and moderate seasoning helps prevent sodium from pulling water out of the muscles. Many seniors tell me that simply reducing salty dinners brought dramatic improvement within a week. As the day winds down, small rituals become powerful tools. Gentle calf stretches before bedtime relax the muscle fibers and allow electrolytes to settle where they're needed most. Warm socks or a heating pad increase blood flow, easing tension that would otherwise burst into cramps during the night. And for those taking medications that affect minerals, adjusting the timing, always with a doctor's guidance, can reduce the nighttime impact on the nerves and muscles. When cramps persist, keeping a simple journal often reveals patterns that were invisible before. Many seniors discover that their worst cramps appeared on days with heavy sweating, salty evening meals, emotional stress, or skipped meals. Others notice they occurred within hours of taking medications that drain magnesium or potassium. This self-awareness becomes a roadmap for healing. For some older adults, testing electrolyte levels or reviewing medications with a doctor becomes an important step, especially when cramps are frequent or severe. But even then, the path forward is gentle and hopeful. The body responds quickly when given the minerals it's been missing. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this plan is that improvement doesn't take long. I've seen seniors go from nightly cramps to smooth, peaceful sleep in as little as 7 to 10 days. Small steps, taken consistently, lead to night after night of relief. Their days feel lighter, their confidence grows, and their legs once again feel like partners, not obstacles, in their journey through life.